Hi, everyone. My name is Jalpa, and I'm talking about anxiety. Every time I talk to my lawyer friends or lawyers in general, they often tell me a story or two about how anxiety affects their daily lives at home and at work. I'm also one of these lawyers, and I don't understand it. We got a 4 year undergraduate degree, a JD from a gruesome 3 year law school program, and we passed one of the toughest exams out there, the bar exam. For some of us, that exam is 3 consecutive days of testing. And on top of that, we continue to maintain a certain required number of continuing legal education credits to remain barred. So, how did we get here? Well, let me tell you a story about when I first realized that anxiety was a problem in my life. During law school, I was invited to interview with one of the big law firms during on campus interviews. I was shocked. I did not have the best grades in law school, and I didn't understand why I was even chosen. This spiraled into anxiety before I even started the interview. When I went into the interview room and the interviewer told me he had been waiting for me, my heart started to pound. In that moment, when he told me, my anxiety spiraled even more. And I started to tell stories that I did not recognize, stories of a life that I did not live. Yes, I lied because I thought the only way to impress him was to be someone I'm not. Needless to say, I did not get that call back. After this interview, I realized that my anxiety cost me a job where I could have helped so many people. Looking back, it seems so simple. I was so consumed by the interviewer's potential opinion of me that I forgot my skills, my training, my education, my capabilities, and my personality. As part of law school, there should be a confidence building class. Instead, we're told that the people next to us are just our competition. And if we don't graduate at the top of the class, we won't get a good paying job. Even when we begin and embark on our journeys as lawyers, we are often told that we're not good enough researchers, we're not good enough writers, we're not good at speaking with our clients, and we're not good lawyers in general. And instead of questioning our education, instead of questioning our training, we start to believe that there is something wrong with us. We experience self doubt, we see lack of self worth, yet we continue to climb this mountain to partnership. And that is how we got here. So this year, I went on a journey to seek some answers. I want to tell you a story about Mukesh as the start of this journey. At a young age, Mukesh inherited his father's farm. Every day, he spent the days fertilizing and watering the fields that belonged to many generations before him. His house did not have electricity or running water. Every year, Mukesh, as the sole earner, would have to grow and sell enough crop to support his entire family. The monsoon season often led to disaster, waiting to see if his crop could be destroyed because of too much rain or destroyed because of too little rain. The roof on his house would often leak, and while he had a college degree, he took on farming just like his father before him. I'm intimately aware of Mukesh's problems because he's my father. You would think that he's riddled with anxiety, but I have never seen my father anxious. Somehow he figured out how to not let money and work affect his sense of self. It has to be his culture, I thought. After all, one of the biggest differences between us is that he was raised in India and I was raised in California. Well, I wish the answer would have been that simple. Turns out Asians and Asian Americans tend to shy away from reporting health concerns, not because they don't experience it, but because of societal expectations. The stigma of seeking help for mental health trauma keeps many Asians from reporting mental health concerns such as anxiety, stress, depression. If you think about the history of Asians in the US, Asians are often referred to as the model minority. When others look up to you as the ideal form of immigrant, you can't show any scars. Asians had to be the model minority to maintain the appearance. Thus, although Asians are shy to report anxiety, it does not mean that they are not experiencing anxiety. And this taught me that the culture itself is not the answer. There has to be something else, something in addition to culture. So I started talking to people who experience anxiety. And some of these people told me that they overworked themselves until they reached a breaking point because of their anxiety. Some people told me that they couldn't walk into a room full of people because of anxiety. They were too afraid to know what those people were thinking about them, and their anxiety stopped them from even socializing. And I asked many of them, is there a solution? Some of them told me that they've been recommending meditation, gratitude journal, and exercise. However, those are temporary solutions and they don't work for everybody. If we seek a more permanent solution to cure anxiety, we must focus on the actual source of anxiety. To detect the source, the key is to know yourself, the inner workings of your brain and heart. And I don't mean this in the scientific sense, but one has to be in touch with how one thinks and feels in order to detect that source. You will have to know what's not in alignment with how you want to live your life. I would not have known that my anxiety in the interview stemmed from self doubt if I had not inversely mapped my thoughts and feelings. The source of anxiety has to be cut off from the roots. While meditation, exercise, and other means can help us stay grounded, to get to the root, we have to dig deeper. The next time you feel anxious, pause. Label that feeling as anxiety and inversely outline where the anxiety is stemming from. Are you feeling anxious because you're afraid of what's going to happen? Are you feeling anxious because you don't think you're qualified? Why don't you think you're qualified? Why do you think that you have to be qualified to be anywhere? Keep asking yourself the why until you're able to come to your landing, the displaced value. In my journey, every time I questioned my anxiety, I landed on a value that was outside of myself. And that is why I refer to it as the displaced value. I didn't want my client to think that I didn't know everything, so I avoided the call with them until I could no longer avoid it. It's time we stop avoiding and start liberating ourselves. The truth is, I don't know everything. I will never know everything. I give too much power to the value of knowing everything. In fact, I gave away my power to my client to decide what makes me qualified. It was not until I decided that what I value is not knowing everything. What I value is growth and creativity. The next time I was in an interview and the interviewer asked me a question to which I did not know the answer, I said, I don't know, but here is a way I will figure it out. I explained what I would do to find the answer and create the solution. I did not feel anxious, nervous, or stressed. I knew my values and I responded in line with my values. I did not get the job, and I'm so thankful for it. Working for an employer who expects their employees to know everything does not get to employ me. It was when I grounded my actions and my decisions in values that I was able to understand my father's actions. He did not take on farming because it was a lucrative field, but because it provided him with freedom. He had the freedom to truly dictate how he spent his time, which would not have been an option had he worked in a corporate job with his college degree. The value he placed on money was lower than the value he placed on his freedom. That is where culture plays a role. Culture does not dictate whether we experience anxiety. Culture, however, can help us alter our values. It was common in my father's village to choose family and community over money and long hours. So it's time for you to decide what type of a culture you want to live in. It's time that we start cutting cords. Our cords that are connected to the rat race, our cords that are connected to living lives on other people's terms and expectations. So grab a piece of paper and pencil and start writing down your values. Write down your values that matter to you the most. Put them somewhere where you can see them every day and start making decisions that are in alignment with your values and say goodbye to anxiety. Thank you.